and the air is still, and the night has fallen. There's only one question you must answer.
Gee,
Something woke her, but she has to be controlled.
the beast gets angry.
In our previous video, we told you about the Avengers franchise, which is developed by Marvel Entertainment. And you can find the link of this video on the top right corner of your screen. Today's video is also about a superhero team that belongs to Marvel. And it was the first ever team of superheroes which appeared on cinema screens. Before the Avengers or Justice League, X-Men was the only group that was able to stand for people. That's why in this video, we will disclose every significant detail about this group as a tribute. So welcome to the film gossip and let's get rolling.
They're calling it a cure.
There's nothing to cure. Nothing's wrong with any of us for that matter.
You of all people know how fast the weather can change.
First of all, let's discuss the plot. X-Men Saga has released a total of 13 films from 2000 to 2020. And it also includes 2 films from the Deadpool series. But we will only talk about the X-Men original trilogy, which comprises 3 films, and it was the sole reason behind the creation of other films based on the same premise. The main arc of this trilogy revolves around people which have special powers, and they are called mutants. Afraid from their supernatural powers, they are being threatened by ordinary people throughout the story.
You'll be safe here from Magneto, a very powerful mutant who believes that a war is brewing between mutants.
In the first part, 2 groups of mutants fight with each other for the survival of their kind. But the difference in their method approach led them to battle among themselves. Magneto, the main antagonist of this series, is leader of a rebel mutant group who wanted to subjugate normal people but was challenged by Professor Xavier and his team, which is known as X-Men, the protagonists of main arc. The first part established a sense of story in which 2 groups of mutants fight, but Xavier wins along with his team.
There is a war coming. You sure you're on the right side?
In the second part, X-Men are attacked on their base by a mutant hunter, William Stryker, who wants to annihilate the mutant race. But to his surprise, X-Men and Magneto's team ally and defeat him. In the last part, these 2 teams battle for the last time after humans introduce a cure to eradicate mutant genes. But ultimately, Magneto is defeated again by X-Men, and finally peace is established between people and mutants.
A major pharmaceutical company has developed a way to suppress the mutant X gene permanently.
Now let's discuss the origins of X-Men. In 1948, Marvel writers and chief editors Gary Conway and Roy Thomas developed a screenplay for an X-Men film. Orient Pictures had rights to this movie, but unfortunately, Orient Pictures got caught in financial troubles, and the project was cancelled. From 1989 to 1990, Stan Lee was in discussion for the development of the X-Men project, with James Cameron serving as producer and Catherine Bigelow as a director. But this time again, the project was stalled due to lack of interest and financial troubles. After these 2 failing attempts, Marvel considered selling this property to Columbia Pictures in 1992. But to their surprise, 20th Century Fox started negotiations to purchase the rights for developing the X-Men franchise.
Magneto's got an army out there. You go to war, you might not come home. She might not come home. You ready for that?
This purchase was not a trivial thing, because when Marvel was in discussion for selling X-Men Saga to Columbia Pictures, at the same time, Avi Arad had already impressed a lot of people with his creation of X-Men animated series. After seeing the popularity of X-Men anime, the producer Lauren Donner purchased the right of X-Men movies for 20th Century Fox. So you can say that it was the success of the animated series which led to the development of X-Men franchise.
If you want to go, be sure it's what you want.
It's time we make our choice. If you're with us, then be with us.
Now let's discuss the development of series. After purchasing rights, the next task was much harder than everyone anticipated. The reason was the complexity of the main arc and suitable character development in the script. Lauren Donner hired Andrew Walker to write the script for the first part of the X-Men series. Andrew wrote the script, which had many complexities and lacked substantial character development, which was important to develop a series. Ultimately, his draft was rejected by 20th Century Fox, and they had to bring in more writers to develop a final draft. After 2 years, Fox finally gave a green signal to move forward with production after accepting a script. Bryan Singer joined the project as director after his success in Usual Suspects, and casting begins at the start of 1997.
I feel a great swell of pity for the poor soul who comes to that school looking for trouble.
Now let's talk about the casting. For the character of Wolverine, Hugh Jackman was never the first choice of studio. Instead of him, Russell Crowe was approached to play Wolverine, but he turned down this offer and recommended his friend Hugh Jackman. But the studio was hesitant to cast him, and they approached Viggo Mortensen for this character. Viggo initially agreed to playing Wolverine, but later he declined this offer because he didn't want to sign multiple films for the same character. After all their tries, Hugh was finally offered the role and he chose it instantly. To your surprise, Michael Jackson campaigned for the role of Xavier Charles, but the studio never took him seriously and Sir Patrick Stewart was already selected for this character. Sir Ian McKellen was approached by Bryan Singer to portray Magneto, and McKellen agreed because he liked it from the start.
You haven't told him about his past.
Who was he?
I can't remember.
Sometimes anger can help you survive.
Now let's talk about the performance on the box office. X-Men original series started in 2000 and ended with the last part in 2006. These three parts are still considered as a critical and commercial hit in the entire X-Men universe. With a collective production budget of $395 million, this franchise earned almost $1.164 billion worldwide. This series created its global audience, and its commercial success made it easy to develop spin-offs and prequels of the X-Men saga.
They wish to cure us, and I say we are the cure.
Talking about critical response, this three-part series was praised by a lot of people for several reasons. Cinematography and CGI work was heavily praised by everyone in the industry, because it was the first time when a superhero squad came to screens with the best CGI and editing. Although it received some bad reviews for its pace and story, but the action sequence and acting of the main cast members were phenomenal, and it became its reason for success.
Has begun. Eric, what have you done?
If you liked today's video, then tell us in comment section about your favorite movie from this series. And subscribe our channel, The Film Gossips, for more videos like this.